G'day, welcome along today. Today we're here in Wellsford with Cam Shepherd, 1200 Tow and Fert owner. So Cam, do you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your farm here?
Yeah, we're here in Wellsford in Northland. It's a pretty dry, hard climate we farm here. We're 100% autumn calving. We start calving on about the 5th of March, which is relatively early, but we do that so we reach our winter milk quota starting on the 15th of May. But we farm about 170 hectares with about 380 cows, sort of a reasonably high input system throughout the winter, then basically sort of grass only from mid-September sort of through to December again. We rely on a lot of grass throughout these winter months, so that's sort of what pushed me towards looking at Tow and Fert, and also the increase of fertiliser prices was certainly a big part of the factor as well, just to try and reduce a bit of cost of fert, but also try and grow the same amount as grass or more was probably a big factor for me.
So before you brought your Tow and Fert, what sort of system were you running with your fertiliser side of it? And yeah, sort of what were your units of N that you were using, stuff like that?
So before we got the Tow and Fert, I guess we were reasonably traditional. We sort of used DAP, urea mixes, I guess, in the spring and autumn. So we're sitting sort of around 110, 120 units of N per year, which is probably reasonably average around here for autumn calving farms. So yeah, that was sort of our system before, sort of mainly 4 to 6 applications a year. And now I guess this last autumn we got the Tow and Fert and we've sort of changed our way we farm now.
Yep. So for the season, what sort of units are you on target to use, and can you visually measure the difference in grass growth, or what's your thoughts there?
So at the moment I think we'll probably be sitting around 80 units. We're still feeling our way with the Tow and Fert because it's sort of a bit of the unknown and we're still learning as we go. This year's been quite unusual. We've had quite a growthy December, January, which is very unusual for Northland. The biggest thing we've noticed with the Tow and Fert is we have a lot of hillsides, and so we have a lot of camp areas where the stock sit and sleep on the ridges at night, and the seedlings don't particularly grow well. We don't get a lot of very good sort of allocation or spreading of muck around the paddock. But I've noticed with the Tow and Fert, the first thing the neighbours said, they said, "Oh, why are your hillsides growing again?" It said the hillsides look nice and even, and we're seeing good lush growth on seedlings that we've never seen before, which is probably the biggest thing that's blown me away, is the evenness of grass across the whole paddock on quite hilly contour.
Yep. So when you changed over to the Tow and Fert and you're still using your conventional fertiliser that you were using, just at a lower rate, how are you finding using the Tow and Fert from a usability point of view? Difficult or quite easy?
So there's always a bit of a learning process. Like we went from applying fert in the ground uniform to the Tow and Fert. We're still using the same silo and we're pretty much still using the same fert, but we've reduced our application from around sort of 30 units of N per application. We're now sitting at sort of 12 to 15. We don't go over that, and we follow the cows every round with sort of balanced application of a little bit of NPK and S, and we've sort of broken down our applications. We want to get 10 rounds on the farm per year, and we're just trying to give them a little bit of everything every round.
Yep. So from doing that, have you noticed an increase in the clover content and stuff from not using as much nitrogen?
Yeah, that's one thing we've noticed, particularly in the winter months. We used to often, the clover would almost go missing from sort of June to October. We've noticed quite a big increase in the clover in those colder months, which is something I haven't seen before. But also a big increase, a big benefit that we've seen is just the usability of the Tow and Fert as far as applying chemicals throughout the winter, your thistle sprays, your buttercup sprays, your pennyroyal sprays. That's been a real game changer, I think.
Yep. And you used to get the contractor in to do that stuff?
Yeah, so when I was thinking about getting the Tow and Fert, I guess I was solely thinking about probably just the fertiliser cost of the purchase and what we could either save or make up from using the Tow and Fert, but actually a real big benefit has been the applying herbicides and also spraying our maize paddocks out. So probably even just this year we've probably saved 10,000 just in not having to get a contractor to do thistle spraying and maize spray out.
It's good. So what's sort of the next season starting to look like for you from a Tow and Fert point of view? Have you got any things you want to try or do different?
Probably this next season, I guess we'll be able to start a little bit earlier. We'll probably start as soon as we get our first good autumn rains in sort of March. We're going to start applying probably lime flour or gypsum, and also probably molasses regularly. We dabbled in it a little bit last year, but we're just feeling our way in it really. But yeah, it's sort of once you start getting into the Tow and Fert system, a lot more things become available to you really. So
yep.
Yeah, it's just scratching the surface, I think.
Yep. And you mentioned earlier that your approach to the Tow and Fert was just give it all a go and see what happens.
Yeah,
Have you had any big stuff up yet?
No, nothing we've had to dig out or turn to concrete or anything. No, we've blocked nozzles and yeah, nothing really too major. You've just, the biggest thing is just sometimes, especially DAP mixes, not giving them quite long enough to mix, getting impatient, getting to the paddock and wanting to start before it's finishing mixed. But no, I think you can't really get it wrong, and I think farmers love playing with different machinery, so you just keep going until you find your own system.
Yep. Production of your animals, how have you seen production with the change of your system? Are the cows still hanging in there, or are they doing better?
Yeah, at the moment we're Northland had a very hard winter. We've had the record wettest winter, and then we've had a record wettest spring. So we've been about 5% behind for the season after the winter, but we're actually gaining every month, and I think this year we'll end up passing by next autumn again. So it's a little bit hard this season, but I guess it will be exciting starting the 1st of sort of March as the start of our season again. But yeah, definitely we've noticed the cows grazing the paddocks better. That's often a bit of a problem in the winter when you're using high rates of N, just the palatability of the grass. Cows don't like hitting those residuals, and we noticed as soon as we dropped those units of N, the cows started eating the grass better.
Earlier we had a discussion and you were talking about how the time frame you think your ROI has been on the Tow and Fert machine. Do you want to elaborate on that? Yeah,
well, originally I sort of thought, I guess I crunched a few numbers, maybe saving sort of 40% on, I guess, previous year's fertiliser inputs. And I thought basically in a year I would pretty much pay off the Tow and Fert, but I think with the saving of spraying contractors and that, it could be earlier. But yeah, I think it's a really exciting machine. It's one of those things you buy, and a lot of machinery you buy, you're a little bit hesitant and you're often disappointed, but the Tow and Fert's really impressed me with what I've bought, and I would happily buy it again.
So you're happy with your Tow and Fert there, Cam? What would you be saying to other farmers that are considering going down the Tow and Fert road?
Yeah, I guess for us, we didn't have a contractor in our local area, but we've since got one in the last sort of 6 months. I would say get a contractor to come and do a bit of an area, trial a bit on your farm, do that, and I guess you're not investing the money straight up, see what you think, and then if you want to go down that road, go for it, I think. Or if you've got a neighbour with one, just come and get them to have a bit of a play in a paddock and see what you think.